doctors or that are not married, and they're doing this incredible.
Well, there's a myriad of things. I think, first of all, we have to go back to the writer. You are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you.
Miss Nigeria competition.
And I said, let's pick them up, let's take them back to Nigeria, and let's teach them a different kind of job.
Hello, nice to have you join us in the studios of A Woman. I am Elizabeth Abai, and I have joining me today an exciting personality, a lady who is doing something, well, a lot of men consider it's within their domain, and she's not just doing it, she's doing it real good. She is a professor, taught in a certain university in the United States. We'll get to talk about that later. And she is first and foremost an urban planner. Please join me as I welcome, well, I'll bring you her name and her person after this time out.
I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
Yes. We need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely.
All right, the show is The Woman, and I have seated with me in the studio Professor Madele Okunabwa. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
All right. I mentioned earlier when I was introducing you that you're doing something men consider, quite territorial, which is urban planning, construction, architectural works, and all that. And you're not just doing it to earn a living. You're doing it, to create a mark. We'll talk about all those marks, later on. But I'd like to know what formed your opinion, what pushed you, what propelled you into this field.
Okay, thank you so much once again for the invitation, excuse me, to present to everyone today. I have always loved architecture. I've always loved buildings. Buildings to me were like pieces of sculpture sitting in a garden. Ever since I was growing up in Nigeria, I would go around and just look at buildings and take pictures and then try and draw them, even go out and build my own foundations, sticks and stones and all that. I just love that expression.
So while people like us were doing cooking with the tin of tomatoes and all
yes,
that. Okay.
Yes, I was outside building foundations as a kid with my brothers and sisters. So that's been my love for the built environment, and that's how I got into it, just a love for that kind of creation.
All right, but you went out there and got trained to do what you are doing, and you stood out for something, which actually led to your foundation, the CPDI you're doing at the moment.
Yes.
I'd like to know, what is it about African, architectural designs that caught up with you?
Okay, so my initiative is called CPDI Africa, which stands for the Community Planning and Design Initiative Africa. And what we try to do is bring about new architectural expressions for Africa and the diaspora that are culturally and environmentally sustainable, culturally and environmentally sound. So that is, let's say you're talking about Africa or Nigeria or diaspora communities, nation building, community building. What role does the architect, the urban planner, the engineer, the artist, what role do they play in shaping our environment? Not just to solve problems that we have in our communities, whether it's affordability, materials that we're using, but also to preserve our culture and identity. So I should be able to go through a community anywhere in Nigeria, let's say Yoruba land or Igbo land, and look around and say, oh, based on what I see, these must be designed and built by the people of Yoruba or Igbo, just from the aesthetics, right? The same way you're traveling through France or Spain or America, you're looking around, you see the buildings, you say, okay, maybe I'm in America, you see Eiffel Tower, okay, you see the Chinese architecture, I must be in China, because you know what it looks like. So for us as a people, again, whether you're in Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, or you're in Haiti, you're in an African-American community, anywhere that the descendants of Africa have settled, when you're going through their communities, can you see beauty? Can you see them? Can you see their identity reflected?
Okay, and you've done something quite spectacular. Sometime around 2013 or thereabouts in Germany, where you tried to introduce the
Okay.
bamboo building.
Okay.
Talk to us about it.
Okay. 2016 actually.
2016,
Yes, I attended what they call Expo Real. It's in Munich. It's the number one real estate investment platform in Europe, where people go to showcase their projects to billionaire investors who are looking to invest in something new and exciting, whether it's estates, hotels, resorts, whatever. So I'd actually had a booth at the Abuja International Housing Show. I had my designs on display, and a German, her name is actually Claudia Boymans. She runs Expo Real. She came to Nigeria specifically to find people, developers who were doing architecture that was spectacular, that was reflective of who we were, like I said, our culture, our identity, and things like that. And she saw my booth and she said, "Oh my God, who are you? This architecture stands out from what I'm seeing everybody else presenting. I want to invite you to Germany. Come and tell German developers what they should be building in Africa when they get contracts. Don't come here and be building what they have in Germany and in Europe. Come and build modern African buildings like what I'm seeing in your display here." That's how I got to go to Germany, and I spent a week. It was unbelievable. People kept coming and asking me, do I speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? I was like, nein, ein bisschen, because I do speak a little German. I was like, how may I help you? They were like, how much do you want? How much does it cost to build a whole community using your buildings? So it was very interesting. It was very exciting to see other cultures, non-African cultures, respecting
Our own
heritage, our own designs that could build our own communities that would be so spectacular. So that's how I got to go to Germany in 2016.
Now, my question is, how much of this has been appreciated, by our people, especially here in Abuja?
Yes. I am really proud to say that with the years, I actually launched CPDI Africa in 2013. And over the years, I have been seeing more and more architects from Nigeria, of course, the Black American architects in the US, because I'm also half based there, beginning to appreciate this conversation. In the beginning, when I was first talking about it, okay, you all come, let us build some modern or design some modern African buildings. People didn't understand. They were saying, do you mean like a big hut with nice thatch roof? I said, it can be big now, but let it have more modern. They say, you mean a bigger hut? I said, no, I mean a true modern translation. So I now started running these architecture competitions, international, and architects now joined me. As anybody who can send me the most amazing modern African design, send to me, I'll give you money, I'll publish your works, I'll get you contracts. So people started sending in their designs. I was surprised. People from Australia, Japanese, Vietnamese, Europeans, of course, Africans. I was so surprised. I now started doing these exhibitions. On my first exhibition, I packaged the works, like artwork, very big like this, framed and put them on easels. People came and they said, oh my God, I have never seen anything like this. I didn't know it was possible. I mean, you talk about fashion, African art. Now our music, all other forms of African creativity, people know and appreciate. But architecture, which is the biggest form of art, they had never seen it translated in our own identity. Oh, this is so beautiful. I never thought this could exist. How can I get one? Where are you building them? I said, wow. So that showed that we did appreciate. If people had seen it and said, oh, this is so ugly, what nonsense, please give me my European design. No. African architecture, no, this is not it. If they had said that, then I would have failed and it would have proven that nobody can accept. But all the audience, wherever I am, Nigeria, if I'm in America, if I'm in Europe, they are like, this is beautiful.
I'm wondering, you were actually a lecturer, professor in the university, and you taught well in the USA.
Yes.
I'm wondering, how much of impact have you made on our young people, especially the would-be urban planners here in Nigeria?
Very good question, because when you think about the fact that African Americans. They're descendants of Africa, and they are really trying to connect to their roots. So it was a very engaging conversation for them. Actually, my mentor, his name is Professor David Hughes. I met him almost 30 years ago, and he wrote the first book on Afrocentric architecture that inspired me.
But he wasn't African?
African American,
Okay.
teaching in a university in Ohio. And so that's where I, as a young student, learned that architecture is not, architecture can be more than just European. It can also be African. So we fast forward to a few years ago when I started teaching in Kennesaw State University, where I was teaching in Atlanta, Georgia. I was teaching in the art history department and the African studies department. And then students from architecture would now come and take my classes. They were so proud because normally in School of Architecture, they may talk about the pyramids if they want to recognize that the pyramids are in Africa. But outside of the pyramids, in School of Design, you never come back to Africa. It focuses on everybody else's. So these students were always wondering, Black people, don't we have our own? Does it exist? Where is it? If it doesn't exist, why? So when they take my classes, they learn about the designs that we are doing. And those pioneering architects who are trying to make this conversation popular. So students in art history take my classes, urban planners, architects, artists, African studies majors, people who just want to know who are we as a people, what is our contribution to world civilization. They come and they learn about our amazing empires. We are amazing, we were amazing, we'll continue to be amazing. They learn that history and they try to connect the dots so that as we stand on our past, we can learn from that and use that to create a better future for ourselves. Because copying other people or trying to be other people doesn't
really bring you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Now, my question still goes to how much of it can we bring back home? I mean, with the Nigerian students here in Nigeria, not just the ones outside Nigeria.
Yes.
How much of a mentorship are you doing? I know you've actually started something. How much of it is it making enough impact on the students? Because we want to begin to see translated, in our curriculums. How far have you been able to push that?
You said the magic word. The fact that I'm teaching African architecture abroad says something. Why are we not teaching African architecture?
That I want to know.
Here? That should be I would think that would be the main focus of our curriculum for architecture in Nigeria and in Africa. Even in other diasporan communities, Haiti, Jamaica, wherever we are. So the question is, what's the impact? So CPDI Africa, we go around doing lectures at universities throughout Nigeria. This 2 months ago, we had a CPDI Africa Expo where we invited these mentors, professors to come from all around the world to join us, to go around doing these lectures, meeting professors in Nigerian universities, talking to students, and engaging and empowering them in this conversation so that we can begin to talk about how do we meet NUC, how do we talk about making it a priority in our curriculum. If you don't teach the students, how will they know? When they graduate, they come out, they get the client says, give me a building. You start going on the internet to find what they're doing in America or what you learned in school, which was only from European books. You have to be exposed to this in school. You come out, you can now suggest to your client, why don't you consider this? How about this building? How does it look? Does it celebrate you? Would you be proud to have an office building that actually...
Because even far beyond celebrating us and our heritage, I think that if we build something that is indigenous, it also gives us that comfort our parents had. We have a tropical weather, and if we do something that will reflect that weather, we have a bit more of comfort, to go with it. That's my take on it.
You are now in my circle. That brings me to Nigeria's premier master builder, Dimas Wonko. Dimas Wonko is from Idumuje Uboko in Delta State. He is the one Nigerian that has championed this cause all his professional years. He has a theory on African architecture and it's about the comfort. if you design for the comfort of a people, you have designed their built environment perfectly for them. It should address their weather. Comfort. You cannot be in a house and if you don't have AC, you are burning up. No. How did our ancestors used to build? Did they have AC? No. What materials did they use? They used what was local, indigenous to where they were. Clay, laterite, stone, bamboo, all the natural materials that don't have any impact on the ozone layer. They are completely green. And guess what? They are free. You can actually harvest your own materials from your site.
Definitely. Like in my place, we have a lot of stones, it grows from the ground. You can pack as many as you can.
Yes.
It doesn't get to finish and use it to do your own building.
Yes.
I also noticed that there are a lot of, they call it bush bars and stuff like that. That's more like taking us back to what it used to be.
Yes.
So I think people should invest more in that. But enough of your professional life. I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. Because when people sit down and talk walk, I begin to wonder if you find time to relax.
Yes.
How do you get your inspiration?
Oh, wow, my inspiration. I love reading. I love research. My personal life and my professional life are almost the same.
How?
Because I'm just inspired by all things Africa. So let me tell you a
I
little.
saw how you came in here and you were like...
I noticed your set design immediately. The African inspiration, I was like, oh, I'm home. This is beautiful. I'll tell you. So I am African American and Nigerian, Igbo Nigerian. My mom is African American. My dad is from Nigeria. And so for me, personally, it has been a journey of self-discovery of my African identity all my life. My mom choosing in the 1960s to marry a Nigerian. In the 60s, that was the first time that Africans had left the continent in a positive way. Not from 400 years ago, you're shackled in a slave ship or any of that. They actually went to go to school. And for the first time, the Africans who went were now meeting the descendants of those
who left in slavery.
And my mom tells me this story. She says to my dad, she says, how come you all didn't come and save us all these years? And my dad said, we didn't know what happened to you all.
I can't believe that.
Yes.
Asking your father why he didn't come to save us.
Oh, and my dad said, I'm here now. We have met.
That's like Prince Charming.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy that my mom said yes to my dad, because it really connected her back to the continent. And being an African American, I'm her child. I'm so blessed for that. I got Africa back through my dad. And so, as a Nigerian, as of Igbo descent, and as an African American, for me, it was just constantly, who am I? Who am I? What did my people bring? Let me find that out and celebrate it. Because, growing up in the US, which I also grew up in, being black is hard for so many reasons. You're always questioning your value. Why are you important? America's story. And so I always wanted to know who I was. Why should I be proud of myself? And it always brought me back home. So I find it exciting learning about myself. I got a master's degree in African studies. And that was just the best experience, because I sat around for 3-4 years just learning about my people. Everything we contributed to the world. Africans have built the world.
Yeah, definitely. We make the world really proud, with our designs and creativity and our industry, spirit of industry. Now, when we are not working, we relax as well. I like to know what forms relaxation for you beyond reading and research.
Movies on occasion. I love going to point and kill with my friends. I love sitting out in those bush bars that you talk about, the natural open environment, have a beer, have some grilled fish, talking to my friends. I love to travel. I do need to go around the continent a little bit more. I've done Europe, of course. But, discovering new places, meeting new people. And people are generally beautiful. God made an amazing wonder when he made all the different races. It's like we are flowers in a garden. Everybody has something
Different
beautiful.
colours.
Yes, has a beautiful story to share, and I like that. I like meeting people who share, who celebrate differences, as opposed to saying you are different, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, discover the difference and find out what use that can be to you and the society generally.
Yes.
Now, discovering differences, I noticed something. A lot of times, women are kind of reticent. You're free. And you've taught a lot of women, growing up, young people. What do you think is one of our biggest issues, opening up and embracing and conquering the world?
For women, it's a new day. Women are strong. Women are powerful. I know physical strength, we're not as strong as men, but that is not a reason for us to play down who we are. We have so much to contribute. We're sensitive. These days, because women are empowered, you can go to school, you can get a good job, you can pay your bills, you can earn some money to make your dreams come true and to contribute to society. As a wife, you can still do that. As a single woman, you can still do that. And so I think this is a time in world history for women to really shine, to bring all that they add to the table. I'm sure that there were times in the past where women were probably not so subjugated, and they contributed. But now, more than ever, women bring love, women bring peace. We won't have so many wars. I think we'd like to talk like we're doing now and find great solutions. And so this is a time for men and women to really talk eye to eye and contribute to world peace, world development. Really, this is a great time for women.
Women indeed bring peace, and you're an epitome of one. But I'm looking forward to a time when I get to certain parts of maybe Abuja for starters.
Yes.
I see Madele's design. Maybe an estate.
Yes.
Do we have that coming up soon?
We definitely do.
Okay.
We're looking at
all
that.
the African design and heritage represented.
Yes.
The small OB and all that.
You know. Yes.
And a bit of a red mud. But this
Yes.
time you won't have to stain my clothes.
That's right. It'll be a modern version. Very
All right.
modern.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for coming on the show.
welcome.
It's been quite inspiring. And I know that a lot of young people who are out there wondering, what do I do with myself? And if you like construction, this is where to, take off from, toe the line. And while you do that, remember what she's just told us. Always believe in yourself. Represent Africa the way you should represent it. Let it speak out for you in all that you do. I'll be with you again next week with another exciting package of the program, The Woman. Stay with us.